is Ada Wong? What are her goals, and what is she able to accomplish in her debut game Resident Evil 2, and her return in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6? Ada Wong is a competent operative able to achieve her objectives no matter the obstacles that stand in her way. She isn't a sheep to her employer though, and is constantly weighing the pros and cons of her obedience and making decisions based on what she believes in. She's got an undeniable connection to Leon Kennedy and refuses to act in any way that would bring him to harm, even when her employer demands it. Ada is strong, independent, and intelligent, and today is all about celebrating her accomplishments in Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6. Special thanks to Set646 on YouTube for suggesting this topic. Heads up, this video will have spoilers for Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 6. Welcome back! If you're new here, my name is Luffy and welcome to my channel. I talk video games and character analysis, so if that's your thing, subscribe and stick around. If you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member so that I can continue to bring these videos to you weekly. If you'd like to see me cover something specific, let me know in the comments. Let's hop right into all things Ada. Nabbing the G-Virus, Resident Evil 2. Ada seems to come out of nowhere in Resident Evil 2. Raccoon City is infested with zombies with no clear way to escape the gnashing teeth, but Ada walks right through the apocalypse to the police station with no problem. In the original version of the game, she's a dedicated girlfriend looking for her Umbrella researcher boyfriend, John. In the remake, she claims she's with the FBI. Regardless of the version, Ada is on a mission to get her hands on a sample of the G-Virus. The G-Virus was supposed to solve the problems the T-Virus had, namely that 10% of people were immune to the T-Virus, and most people infected with the T-Virus were turned into uncontrollable zombies. Zombies aren't much of a valuable bioweapon if they attack everyone regardless of what side their target is on. If the victims were instead transformed into mutated monsters that were commandable, now that's a virus that's valuable to the military. So you can imagine how badly people wanted to get their hands on the improved G-Virus. Ada was assigned to get her hands on the G-Virus, and her first step in that plan was to date Umbrella scientist John. John would be her into the laboratory, and this worked so well, John even made Ada's name the password to the labs. When an outbreak took over the lab, he wrote a letter to Ada to ask her to initiate the lab's self-destruct sequence to destroy the place. That's how much John came to trust her. Ada's work with John proved what a cunning operative she is. During her mission, Ada runs into rookie cop Leon Kennedy. Leon's just trying to find a way out, but Ada sees an opportunity in Leon. As he explores further and further into Raccoon City's police department and the tunnels that run underneath it, he opens up the labs. Although, at the end of the day, Leon's the one to get his hands on the sample of the G-Virus, not Ada. Ada pulls a gun on Leon to convince him to hand the sample over, but before he can, he accidentally drops it into a pit so deep you can't see the bottom. Whoopsie daisies. Ada has no choice but to drop down into the pit to retrieve the sample, or give up her mission and go home sampleless. Despite the odds that she'll probably break every bone in her body when she reaches the bottom, Ada decides to fall into the pit to get the G-Virus sample. Somehow, Ada survives the fall and was able to escape the lab before it self-destructs, even taking the time to save Leon's butt one more time by throwing him a rocket launcher to kill Mr. X. She's just cool like that. There's no obstacle Ada can't overcome. She's smart enough to think of a solution and open-minded enough to roll with whatever the situation brings. Her objective in Resident Evil 2 is to grab a sample of the G-Virus, which she accomplishes. Billions of casualties, Resident Evil 4. Shockingly, Ada pops back up in Resident Evil 4, though I guess not that shocking since Leon's RE4's protagonist and he and Ada are connected by the string of destiny. Like in Resident Evil 2, she's here to get her hands on a sample, though this time it's a sample of the dominant strain of the Las Plagas. There are two types of Las Plagas: the dominant strain that allows you to command any person infected with the non-dominant strain, and the non-dominant strain that splinters into 3 separate types. All types run the risk of popping out of your head in a gory mess though, so if you have a choice, it's best to go with the dominant strain of the Las Plagas. Like John was Ada's contact in RE2, Luis is Ada's contact in RE4. Things go about as smoothly as RE2 too, as the sample is always out of reach for Ada until the very end. Luis, like John, is murdered, and Ada must make use of Leon to infiltrate the Los Illuminados and get her hands on her sample. Ada is working for Wesker in RE4, and multiple times throughout RE4, Wesker orders Leon's assassination. Ada refuses, however, and instead helps keep Leon safe when he's in a sticky situation, such as when she shot at the Big Cheese when he was choking Leon out, or when she shot at Krauser when Krauser and Leon were knife fighting in the warehouse. Krauser, who was working for Wesker, confronts Ada after his final fight with Leon, but Ada makes quick work of Krauser and kills him. At the end of RE4, Leon is once again in possession of the sample Ada wants. She holds him at gunpoint to make him hand it over, then runs off and jumps into a helicopter waiting to take her out of there. She tosses Leon a key to a jet ski, not wanting him to get caught up in the self-destruct blast of the island. Ada always makes sure her boy is safe. When Ada calls into Wesker to let him know she has the sample, she asks him what he's going to do with it. Wesker boasts that he's ushering in a new age with this sample, and that if you want to make an omelet, you've got to break a few eggs. Ada presses and asks,
"So, we're talking millions of casualties?"
Billions.
Ada figures billions probably includes Leon, and betrays Wesker and doesn't give him the sample. Which honestly, Banff behavior. Don't give Wesker the satisfaction of handing over the sample. So, Ada successfully accomplishes her mission to nab a sample of the dominant strain of the Las Plagas, and then also blocks Wesker from murdering billions of people. I think blocking Wesker might be Ada's greatest achievement, but then again, if she hadn't saved Leon every time he's in a sticky situation, we'd be missing out on his antics, so maybe that's her greatest achievement? Creepy employers and knockoff lookalikes, Resident Evil 6.
If you think I'm going to sit back and be your scapegoat, Simmons, you've got another thing coming.
Ada's rocking her vampire cosplay in RE6 as she fights against a former employer and a body double stealing her name. Simmons had employed Ada in the past, but wanted more from Ada than what her job description entailed. Ada only has eyes for Leon and refused to partner up with Simmons and eventually refused to stop taking on jobs for him either. Outraged by Ada's rejection, Simmons created an Ada lookalike that he hoped would be easier to control. Like a giant creep. Simmons created this body double out of his chief researcher, Dr. Carla Radams, without Carla's knowledge or consent. Like a giant creep. With the help of the C-Virus, Carla was mutated to look like Ada's perfect body double. Carla sets out to destroy the world and frame Ada for it, going so far as to disguise herself as Simmons over the cube they talk through to talk to Ada directly and lead her in the direction she wants her to go in.
Tomorrow the U.S. will suffer a bioterrorist attack. After that, China, and then major cities all around the world will suffer the same fate. At the hand of Neo Umbrella's very own, Ada Wong.
Ada's a smart cookie though, and isn't fooled for long. She realizes she isn't talking to the real Simmons, and hunts Carla down. Ada isn't the only one after Carla either. Simmons also wants to put an end to Carla. Carla didn't take her place at his side as his replacement Ada, so Simmons sends a random helicopter guy after her. Helicopter guy successfully assassinates Carla, though she doesn't stay assassinated. Ada goes to double check the body and discovers Carla has injected herself with the C-Virus to mutate even further. Carla turns into wet cement and attacks Ada. After a harrowing fight where Carla has lost sight of who she is and truly believes she's the real Ada Wong, Ada puts Carla down for the final time.
Hate to break it to you, but you're nothing but a cheap knockoff. At best. Rest in peace, Carla.
Ada isn't just dealing with creepy former employers and body doubles throughout RE6 though. She also has to keep an eye on her boy, Leon.
Can't stay out of trouble, can you, Leon? And always one step behind.
Ada saves Leon a million times throughout RE6, which is so endearing. Ada has so much on her plate, but she still makes time for Leon. Is saving Leon her greatest accomplishment in RE6? Or was it defeating Simmons or Carla? Maybe helping to save the world from the release of the C-Virus? Does it have to be a competition, or can we appreciate Ada for everything she does and puts up with? Your thoughts? Going through Ada's accomplishments in the mainline Resident Evil games was a ton of fun. Personally, I think Ada's greatest accomplishment was saving Leon and choosing not to give Wesker the sample of the dominant strain of the Las Plaga. She could have made a pretty penny, but she chose the safety of the world instead. Kind of making her efforts in RE4 a waste of time, but sometimes that's how it goes. You spend your time doing something and then decide in the end it's not something you want after all. I was curious to know what y'all felt was Ada's greatest accomplishment, so we took a poll here on YouTube. The majority of you voted her greatest accomplishment was stopping Wesker from killing billions, so it looks like we agree. Dingo69420 commented, doing it all in heels. And like, for real though, I'd never really paid attention to that, but Ada really do be kicking butt all while never breaking a heel. The real Ada Wong commented, definitely stopping Wesker from using Las Plagas. Rather, it was premeditated deception or betrayal. Not too many are actually able to counter-manipulate Wesker, which is quite the achievement in itself, especially given he was able to control Barry, Irving, Excella, and Jill. It proves that Ada probably has the most multifaceted personality beyond anyone else on the spectrum. She's the espionage extraordinaire. And honestly, I'd never thought about how Wesker manipulated and controlled so many characters throughout RE, and how despite this skill of his, he could never control Ada. There are a few comments that pushed back against Ada having stopped Wesker, which I thought was a really interesting perspective. Yes, Wesker was eventually able to get what he needed, but that doesn't negate the fact that Ada was able to delay him. Without that delay, Chris and Sheva might not have caught on to his plans in time to stop him. Like, billions didn't die during or after RE5. What do you think, though? Do you think Ada stopped Wesker, or do you think that doesn't count? Although Ada Wong is often working for the bad guy, she isn't willing to destroy the world for a paycheck. Otherwise, where would her next influx of money come from? Or do anything that would put Leon Kennedy in harm's way. She has her personal motivations and is strong enough to stick by her decisions. In Resident Evil 2, she puts Lim on the line to nab a sample of the G virus, and in Resident Evil 4, she returns to do the same to get a sample of the dominant strain of the Las Plagas. In Resident Evil 6, she unravels Carla's plans and stops her and Simmons. In all of these games, she juggles keeping an eye on Leon while achieving her objective and coming out on top. Ada's skills are unrivaled. What do you think about Ada Wong? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video. If you liked it, share it with someone who wants to know more about Resident Evil lore. If you need more content, check out my Patreon. I upload articles I write on upcoming videos or just thought pieces on video games in general. You can also support me in the channel by becoming a channel member, or join us in Discord. I need more people to talk Resident Evil with. More importantly than that though, please take care of yourself and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you.